The NFL is here, and it's all about the sweet offers from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5 on any NFL game.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code FieldGoal to sign up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. See dkng.co/football for eligibility, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply.
NFL Sunday Ticket is now on YouTube and YouTube TV, which means that you can stay close to your team even if you don't live in their town. Like, maybe you're a Raven who married a Seahawk who got a job in the land of the Falcons. With NFL Sunday Ticket, you can watch your team's out-of-market Sunday afternoon games no matter where you live, because you shouldn't have to change teams even if you change towns. NFL Sunday Ticket, now on YouTube and YouTube TV. Go to youtube.com/presale to get $50 off.
Terms and embargoes apply. Offer ends 9/19. No refund. Subscription auto renews.
Wait, are you gaming? On a Chromebook?
Yep. It's got a high-res 120Hz display, plus this killer RGB keyboard. And I can access thousands of games anytime, anywhere.
Stop playing.
What?
Get out of here.
Huh?
Yeah, I want you to stop playing and get out of here so I can game on that Chromebook.
Got it.
Discover the ultimate cloud gaming machine, a new kind of Chromebook.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with me, your host, Stephen Wallace, as we continue our build-up to the Birdsville Cup on Saturday. In this third part of our four-part series about Birdsville 2023, you will hear from experienced jockey John Keating, who previously joined me in episode 150, Chasing Birdsville Cup Glory. John began his riding career in 1988. Since then, he has won nearly 800 races, but not the Birdsville Cup, which remains on his bucket list. In this podcast, you will hear two interviews with John, the first shortly after Birdsville 2022, the other more recently before John headed off to Betoota en route to Birdsville. How was your Birdsville journey this year, John? I know you were going to Betoota on the way to Birdsville.
Yes, it was actually quite a good journey. The trip up there always has, because it's such a long journey on the road, you always have a few little hiccups along the way. But we managed to get through all those, and I made it to Betoota for the first meeting in the central or outback Queensland racing circuit for the three clubs around there. And yes, Betoota was my very first day, and I didn't have the luck that I'd like to have. I only had 5 rides, and I had 3 seconds and 2/3 and 1 unplaced, and I ran second in the cup on the first day.
And what about the journey to Birdsville? When did you get hit by the rain?
The rain didn't arrive until we were actually at Birdsville. It's sort of the rain, they predicted it to come through a few days earlier, but it took a little while to get there, and it arrived just before, 2 days before the first meeting was supposed to be. So on the Wednesday, the rain arrived, and we had the first race meeting on the Friday. And as you've probably discussed with a number of others, we didn't get to race on the first day.
And did you think the racing would be off?
We had our doubts, but the club did a phenomenal job at Birdsville in because it's a dirt racing surface. They use the road graders that they use on the dirt roads around the Shire. The graders worked feverishly the day before, and on the morning of because they put the first day off, the Friday meeting, because the rain sort of hadn't left enough time to dry out. So they worked feverishly the day before. They've ended up having the first day, which was the Saturday, so it was the Cup day, supposed to be the second day. They skipped the Friday, which was the first day, and they moved it to the Sunday. And the club did a phenomenal job with the 2 graders going feverishly around the track, and 2 four-wheel drives with harrows going around to flatten out the surface. And we just got in before the cut-off point for the TV commitment for the club to fit in for the race day. And they put the first race back half an hour, and we ended up stepping away a few hours later. But we raced and it was safe. The track was firm, but it was a very safe surface.
And did it ride differently to normal because of all the rain?
Definitely. The track was a lot firmer than it would normally be. It's normally a dirt track with a cushion, probably an inch to an inch and a half of soil, of topsoil. And with the graders having to push all that off, so they got rid of the mud, which the track had become, and it became a very firm surface. It was actually one of the firmest tracks I've ever ridden on, but it was safe, and we didn't have any horses go amiss. There was a few horses a little bit footsore the next day, but we're lucky that those horses weren't racing again the next day.
And in the Cup, which was run on the Saturday, you were second again.
Yes. It's the second time I've ran second in the Birdsville Cup. Magnus Seaver, the horse I was riding, he finished second to a horse called Sakaro, which is trained by Philip Cole in Darwin. And after I finished second on the horse I rode, Magnus Seaver, somebody tweeted something that night that those two horses in a previous life, which was 2 years earlier, they'd finished first and second in the same order at Flemington. I think it was January 2020. So they'd finished second, win and second in the same order, and then it turned out the next week we raced at Bedourie, and we had the same result. We finished first and second in the wrong way for me the next occasion as well.
But how did you go in other races at Birdsville? Did you ride any winners?
I didn't ride a winner at Birdsville. I had 10 rides for the 2 days of racing. But on the first day, I had 5 rides and I had 5 seconds, which I had one in the Cup. Magnus Seaver finished second in the Cup. So that was quite frustrating. And I built myself up again for the next day. I thought, okay, I've got 5 good rides again tomorrow. And I came out and with 5 rides, I had 4 seconds and 1/3. So I hadn't had a winner at all at the Birdsville 2-day meeting, and I had to wait until the next weekend at Bedourie, where I rode 3 winners.
But despite the rain and the delays at Birdsville, was the atmosphere still the same?
It was. It was hard when the rain came and all the people had arrived, all the public had arrived. Participants, we were stuck where we were toward the track, so we're a little bit away from the town where there's a lot of festivities going on in town. So we didn't get an opportunity to go in while it was wet and everyone was reined in. And whereas in town they had a lot of festivities still on. The Fred Brophy's boxing tent was a popular hit, and they had the band going at the pub, and so that was all good for the public in there. We were stuck outside and still wondering whether we were going to race or not, whether we were going to get called off. But we ended up enjoying after the races on the Sunday night. But then it was a case of packing everything up and moving on to the next town, which is Bedourie, to race there the next weekend. So it would have been nice to have had Saturday night to settle in and enjoy and have a couple of beers with the locals. But for me, I was riding light on both days, so I couldn't enjoy until the Sunday night. And on the Sunday night, most people had to go back to their hometowns or home states for work commitments or whatever commitments they had. So it just made it a little bit duller on the Sunday night, but it was still good to have a feed anyway.
And I know from your manager, Sammy, who was on one of our earlier Birdsville podcasts, that you had some transport issues.
We did. Because I had to borrow my son's four-wheel drive, in which I'm thankful for that, for having the four-wheel drive with the rain and on the dirt roads. But middle of in between Windora and Birdsville, I blew the gearbox. And when you're at the middle of the outback and you're a million miles from anywhere, to do a gearbox, it's not the most pleasant thing. And I was lucky enough to limp into Birdsville and found the mechanic at Birdsville, and he said, "Yeah, the gearbox is shot. We can't get a replacement here because we're 1,000 miles from any civilization, anywhere where they'd have a spare gearbox for the car." So I was lucky. The trainer I was riding for, Kim Healy, comes from Adelaide, and he called one of the wreckers in Adelaide, and they had a gearbox that suited my four-wheel drive that I was driving, and I was able to pay for that over the phone. Kim Healy had an owner that was leaving 1 hour later from Adelaide, driving to Birdsville, and he brought said gearbox up, and we had it fitted in Birdsville, and I was able to continue on my journey. But it was going to cost me about $4,000 to $5,000 to get the car taken by a truck back home, and then I still had my little camper trailer that I had to get home. So it could have been quite costly, and it ended up it was just one of those things. And you expect little things like that, and gearboxing a car is quite a big thing, but you do expect things to happen along the way, and you just deal with them the best way you can, and everything worked out well.
But despite all that, you'll still be back there next year, hoping to ride the winner in the Cup. Definitely.
I've got to go back and with the three clubs that I raced at in the central Queensland Outback Racing this year, I ran second in all of their cups. A Birdsville Cup is one that I really want to win, but now I've got three of those added to the list. Well, I've got two of those added to the list as well as Birdsville, and looks like I've got to go back to Darwin a few weeks earlier next year because I finished second in the Cup in Darwin, so I need to win that one as well. So I've got a lot on my bucket list for next year.
Welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion, John.
Thank you, Stephen. Nice to be here.
Before we chat about your return to Birdsville 2023, how's the riding been going for the last 12 months?
The last 12 months has been quite good. I've had a lot of success all around country Victoria, and a couple of meetings into the New South Wales area state of Australia, but definitely looking forward to getting back to the Queensland Simpson Desert Racing, which will be on next week.
You're still keeping fit then? No falls?
No, I've had a couple of falls, a couple of little incidents, one at the track, which had me on the sidelines for about 6 weeks with a broken ankle. I did come off at Bendigo one day. A horse fell in front of me and I went over the top of it. And, I was laying on the track, winded, and I was on the home corner, and everyone's a little bit worried, but because I hadn't moved, but being winded, I couldn't move, get up or do anything. But a few minutes later, I walked back to the jockey's room and drove home myself from the races. So after that, I've been pretty well trouble-free, and I've been working hard racing, trials, track work at many different tracks, and also working on the farm that my family run just out of town here.
You're still enjoying it, though, at 51?
I love riding. It's one thing. We get up every day, and we do start early track work here. I'm not sure about the UK. I think you guys start a little bit later. But we start at 4:30, and I'm always awake an hour before my alarm goes off, raring to go to get up to the races or get up to the track to ride track work, but then off to the races later on. So we do start early, but I'm loving every minute of riding and being involved with these beautiful animals.
So are you all set for the journey to Birdsville? I know you're going to Betoota first. First question is, what vehicle are you driving this year?
Well, Henry, which I nicknamed my son's Ford that I had last year, the said gearbox that I had replaced while I was in Birdsville itself had to be sent up from Adelaide. That gearbox actually packed it in, and it's got another gearbox in it. But then I said to my son about taking Henry to Birdsville, and he said, "Oh, it's in a few different pieces. You probably better not take it." So my youngest son, Daniel, has got another Ford BT50, and he's allowed me to borrow it, and it's a lot younger, a lot newer, and hopefully I've had my mechanic check it over. I've got new tyres on it yesterday. Hopefully it makes the journey up and back in one piece and without any problems.
Let's hope so.
Definitely.
First up is Betoota. When are you setting off to Betoota?
I will leave this Monday coming, so the Monday prior to Betoota, and I'll drive there. It'll probably take me 3 days. I'm allowing for breakdowns or kangaroos or anything untoward to get there. I'll possibly arrive there Wednesday or Thursday and just give me a couple of days to look at the track. Last year, on the day we arrived the day before, and myself and a number of other jockeys, we walked the track, and because it's a dirt cross sand track, there was a lot of little gritty rocks and probably pebbles, I suppose the size of or half of a golf ball. So it's half the size of a golf ball all around the track, and we've deemed as being dangerous. So we had a number of people walk the track at Betoota last year, and we had, I think it was about 25 people. We walked the track and threw off every little bit of rocks that were on the track, and the track raced really smoothly and was perfect. So I'll get there a day or two early and just have a look at the track and go over the track with the committee. The committee is phenomenal there, and they all are out to try and run a really good race meeting, but they need a little bit of help from us, the participants that partake in racing on that surface.
How does Betoota compare to Birdsville?
Betoota, they race the opposite direction, so they race clockwise, and Birdsville races anti-clockwise. So that's one thing different. The circumference of the track is a little bit different. The Betoota track has a massive long straight. It has probably 600 metres straight, whereas Birdsville straight is probably 350 metres. The surface itself is more sandy at Betoota, and Birdsville, it's more of a red topsoil dust. And that's where the old saying goes, the dust never settles at Birdsville, because it hangs in the air. Whereas Betoota, because it's more sand-based, the horses race past and the dust settles more or less straight away.
And crowd-wise and atmosphere compared to Birdsville?
Birdsville, because it's iconic and you get a lot of people would just travel up specific Birdsville meeting, but a lot of those are not racing enthusiasts, whereas Betoota, and we'll probably speak about it later, Bedourie, which is prior and after Birdsville races, those meetings are for people that roar and love racing and want to be there for the races, not to say that they've been to Birdsville for the races, which a lot of, you'll get people that will come to Birdsville races and won't even go to the race course just to say they've been to the races. But whereas Betoota and Bedourie, which is after Birdsville, they're more nuts and bolts racing people and racing enthusiasts. So it's a better crowd. They still, after the races, they have a live band at Betoota, and it's a phenomenal evening after the races. And I know I went to, because I was tired after the races last year, and I went to bed about 12:30, and they were still rocking until about 3 o'clock in the morning, which I wasn't real happy about, but everyone deserves a good time, and it serves me right for getting too tired.
Yeah, we can't have jockeys rocking around at that time of night, can we?
No, not when you've got work to do the next day.
And funny you mentioned about the sort of hospitality at Betoota, and I heard from Reggie Potts, who's about my age, I think, Reggie, and he told me that the Betoota pub is celebrating their 100-year anniversary at the weekend, and I understand he's taking his dad, who is only 7 years younger than the pub, to Betoota and then on to Birdsville.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I met those. I met Reggie and his dad last year on the road, heading to the race course, and I didn't realise that he was at that age that he is, because he actually, his dad was very healthy and probably walked around and acted like someone 20 years younger. So good luck to him. And I didn't realise it was Betoota Pub's 100th birthday this weekend. So I'm not a big drinker, but I might have to go in there and have a cold ale just to celebrate after the races.
You might want to get to bed early, though, if they start celebrating in the pub.
Yeah, I'll be heading back to my camp, which I'll make sure it's over the hill away from there a little bit.
But after Betoota, all roads then lead to Birdsville, where you still want to win the Birdsville Cup.
Correct. I finished second again last year. And, well, as I probably spoke about in the last podcast after the races last year, in the 3 cup meetings at those 3 race tracks in central Queensland, Betoota, Birdsville and Bedourie, I finished second in all of those cups last year, and that just really eggs me on to make sure, do the best I can to try and win it again this year, but to win it, all 3 of them, but especially Birdsville. I finished second in the Birdsville Cup a number of times, but the Birdsville Cup is something that I'd love to have sitting on my mantelpiece with many of the other cups that I've won in my career.
Do you think there'll be more runners, hopefully, at Birdsville in 2023?
I know there'll be more runners. I've spoken to a number of riders from different parts of Australia. A rider that I spoke with from he's over Newcastle way, and he said that there's a team of horses from New South Wales that certain trainers are bringing over. So I think this year it will be a lot more, and there'll be a lot more depth in the racing. There'll be horses from all over Australia, which I've got horses coming that I'm riding from South Australia and from Northern Territory, from Darwin, that's Kim Healy and Phil Cole. They were both racing at the carnival last year, so I'm riding for both of those. But I know there's many other trainers from Queensland and from over New South Wales that are making the journey to Birdsville. So it'll be a lot bigger and better carnival this year. We were troubled by the rain last year, and there was another incident off the track or away from the race day that brought the numbers down with a trainer pulling his horses out. But this year I think it will be a lot bigger and back to its usual vibrancy, and it will be great racing, and it'll be a great thrill to be part of, but I'm sure from everyone outside it'll be a great thrill to watch.
Have you got plenty of rides booked and one in the Cup as well?
I don't know exactly which horses I've got. The trainers I'm riding for, which are Kim Healy and Phil Cole, I rode for them last week in Darwin. I went up there for the day and spoke to them in person, and they've got a number of horses for both the Cups, or all the Cups, but from both stables. They'll possibly send me about 5 rides on most days, which is about par to what I would normally have out of those meetings. So out of 6 to 7 races, I'll have 5 to 6 rides. So it'll just depend on what horses win at the first meeting at Betoota, with what races they then go into at Birdsville, because that will change again as horses move up and down classes. So we'll soon find out, but there's going to be a number of rides. Last year, over the 4 race days, I had 21 rides. And this year I should have around about the same out of all those 4 race days.
You said earlier, after Birdsville, then it's on to Bedourie.
Correct. Yeah. So the very next week we race at Bedourie, which last year up until Bedourie, I hadn't had a winner from my 15 rides that I'd had Betoota and Birdsville, and I had to get to the last day of Bedourie where I rode 3 winners and I had 3 seconds. So that's always another good meeting. For me, it's an extra 150 k's less that I'll have to travel on the way home after the races. So it's still going to be 1,800 kilometres to get home, but I'll be able to happy that I've travelled a tiny little bit less to make the way home.
Thank you again, John, for being on the Paddock and the Pavilion. Best of luck with the Birdsville Cup. Best of luck at Betoota and Bedourie. And also the best of luck with Daniel's car.
Thank you, Stephen, and I appreciate the well wishes. And hopefully Daniel's car, being a little bit younger, will make the trip a lot safer. But there's always things that crop up along the way, and we just deal with them the best we can. And we'll wake up again tomorrow, and tomorrow will be a new day.
Thanks for listening to part 3 of our Birdsville series. Can 2023 be the year John Keating wins the Birdsville Cup? An update from John this morning in Birdsville is that he has 4 rides on both Friday and Saturday with Trumpster, the horse he hopes to win the big one, the Birdsville Cup. Oh, and like John, Daniel's vehicle is going strong.
Sports Social Podcast Network.